Scooby-Doo! It's everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. Today we're going to be looking at the Canon M5 and the Tokina 35 to 70 millimeter 1 to 4 constant aperture. It's the RMC Tokina. I got this lens dirt cheap. I mean dirt cheap. $35 or something like that. It's in excellent condition. Does it have one fault? It has one fault. I'm going to use this as a pointer, an armadillo tail. If you look right here, it was dropped and it's nicked right here and on the barrel also. And that may have something to do with something I don't know. The optics are super clean. Otherwise, it's in excellent condition. Everything functions. So I was testing this lens unofficially on this camera, the M5, and I had to make some adjustments. And I was satisfied. So I said, why don't I go to Hackensack and walk down State Street, because they were building a building, and it was a big red one. And it was so garish, I figured I would do a photo study of it. So I got there at 7 o'clock on August 19th. The sun was up, but it was still very low in the sky. And all the buildings to the east were pretty much blocking the sun. So this street, State Street, was in open shade lit by the sky. Now when the sun's low, the sky is like a sort of, it wasn't really blue, it was sort of whitish. And that was the lighting I had. Very even lighting, it was very flat lighting. So I took some pictures of the red building, and I walked around, and I noticed that some stores were gone, some stores changed into something else like that, and that's all documented on this. I walked a little bit, I walked to the courthouse, I walked down State Street a little bit, and then they scoot. Because Sunday morning is nice, you don't have to pay the parking meter, all the stores are closed, there's no one around. I was left around 8 o'clock. I could see there's a lot of activity starting, pedestrian and motor traffic also. So for the price, you understand, for the price, $35, this is an excellent value. I was having spotty results. It's hard to focus. It's hard to focus on 35 millimeters. It's definitely soft, wide open. Gets better 5.6, 8. Well, it looks to me like 11 and 16 are your best bets, which means it's a daytime lens. 70 is better than 35. 35 has some barrel distortion and some complex distortion, which you'll see in these shots, which made it hard for me to line everything up, because if I line up on something, some of the other lines were curved or crooked. But it is sharp. If you focus very, very carefully, it's very hard to focus. Even at 5x with the live view, it's just sort of difficult to focus. What can I say? But when I nailed the focus, you can see the damn thing is sharp, really sharp. My subject matter was lit very evenly. It was low contrast, and there's that. So I had just the camera. I knocked the saturation down. But then, after looking at this shoot, I bumped the contrast up one notch. And I'm going to go on another photo shoot to see if that helped improve it. So, and then I have the sharpness all the way up. I noticed that on all these cameras, digital cameras, you got to put the sharpness all the way up in order to make the pictures look sharp. I don't know. That's just the way it is. It's small, it's lightweight, it's easy to use. Like I said, this is not one of Tokina's best lens, but that could be because it got bumped right there, and that could have altered the alignment ever so slightly. But I took some pictures where everything was sharp on the left side, the right side, the center, top and bottom. So I don't know what that means, you know. On my next photo shoot, I'm just going to have to be very careful when I manually focus it. This is Minolta mount, and I'm using a Photodiox Pro MD to EOS M. Infinity focus is like here. So you can't use the scale in a hurry for infinity focus. No, you gotta focus. Remember, it's somewhere or around there. But that's better than if you go there and you're not at infinity focus. That's worse. So if you're there, you're good. So maybe you lose a little bit at the close end, but it doesn't matter. But let's jump into slideshow and check it out. Hackensack is the county seat for Bergen County. It's like an hour's drive from where I live. I drive through it to go see my GF. So while I was driving down State Street, I see they put all this red insulation on this building, and it's this big red one. So I said, yeah, you know, that'll be good to test this lens out with. The Tokina 35 to 70 fixed aperture, constant aperture f4. It was on a Minolta mount, and it's on the M5. The M5 is as small as you can make a mirrorless camera. I mean, I got big American sausage fingers, and I accidentally hit the button sometimes, so that's about as small as it could be. Otherwise, it's a pretty good camera. I'd knocked the contrast down one notch, and then it seemed to be too much, so what I did for further photo ops is I bumped the contrast up one notch. And like I said, I was there after sunrise, but before the sun was significantly up. The street was just lit by the sky, early morning sky. That's why everything has this flat look. And this red building, I mean, it's just trippy looking. And you can see the weird complex distortion it has at 35 millimeters. What can I say? And there's Hackensack is a city in motion. And they have a lot of urban renewal there. You know, it's like they're tearing down all the old buildings that are like 100 years old, and some of them are pretty ratty, and they're all like 1 or 2 story affairs, and they're putting up 5 and 6 story buildings instead, all over. A lot of them are upscale condos. This OX or XO thing, this is a sculpture. They have a sculpture that'll stay there for a year, and they'll put up a new one. There used to be one of some guy with a kid on his shoulders, and it's all done very lifelike. But this is the new one. And you see this red building dominates the whole area. Of course, it'll probably be brick, you know, with windows, and they'll just fit in with everything else. But here's some of the other architecture. At this site, blah, 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 Washington had some sort of thing there. It was the first library, and they tore it down in 1822 or something crazy like that. So there's always change there. Cigarro used to be the Koala Club, but that's gone. Here's a close-up of their sign. You know, if you line up the vertical, then the horizontal is out because of perspective. Oh, the Greek store, oh, I've been there. They serve good food at reasonable prices. Greek Island Grill. I highly recommend it. And in this particular shot, the lens was absolutely sharp all over. So I'm thinking it must have been my technique of focusing. Maybe when I hit the right focus, I don't release the focusing ring and it shifts or something. So it is a good lens. For the price, it's outstanding, without a doubt. Now mine had a little damage, got hit, and I don't know if that affected anything, but it was only very minor damage. There might be sacrificial damage, like the ring. Here's the old buildings, and the ring takes a little nick, so it saves the rest of the lens. But if you focus precisely, it is a sharp lens. Polo Mario is still there, Chicken Mario, and there's all these weird shadows. You can see how low the sun is by the shadow it's casting. And this is new. Some sort of burrito place or something, I don't know. Excellent art though, so I'm glad I went. I used to go like, you know, every 3 months, but then I haven't been there, in maybe almost a year or something. This is down by the courthouse. There's all lawyers there and professional buildings. Here's the courthouse. They have a giant Capitol dome there, you know, that rival anything else, and it has heroic statues on it. And this lens did good. If you focus precisely, oh, it's sharp. I had to adjust the either the highlights or the mid-range or the gamma to make the pictures look right. And I don't know if the lens does seem to have a flat look, but that could have been the day. It was like early morning, only lit by the sun, just only lit by the sky. The sun had not risen up high enough to cast harsh shadows, except on this eagle. You know, some tall buildings, they were lit up because the sun was still low. So, you know, but then there's no one around. That's so cool. On Sunday, you don't have to feed the parking meters, plenty of parking places. So I got out, walked around, and snapped away to check this lens and camera combination out. These are archways. I used to be stone archways, and these vines took over. And this is what downtown looks like. Now, they're getting rid of all the old buildings that were 100 years old. This is interesting. Although this building's been there for like 20 or 30 years, as far as I could tell. A lot of the buildings around it are brand new. And I figure in 100 years, they're going to have to knock them down and put up 10-story buildings. You know, that's the way it works. This is an invasive bug. It happened to be on this railing. I took a picture. That wasn't a macro. That was, it only focuses down to 2 feet. And then I did a upscale crop. And here's I went up on that promenade by those buildings and I shot back. And here's a close-up of those flowers. So August is a good time to go to the city. See, like all these other junky buildings further down, that's all going to be modernized eventually. I stopped some guy and I asked him in the street what happened to the statue of the guy with a kid on his shoulder. And he says, oh, they rotated it out. And he was telling me how they're gentrifying the whole town and putting up expensive condos. This is the court building. It's a big, massive court building. So you know justice is served there. With a side order of corruption, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so there are these flowers here, and I took a picture of them. And that mailbox was crooked. Here's a close-up. I was surprised at how good that came out. They had a bank of gas meters on this building across the street. I guess that's how many different units there are in that building, huh? Everyone pays their own gas. And here's shooting back at that mailbox. You can see it's crooked. It was actually not straight. The sidewalk was tilted a little bit. And, you know, I'm doing these close-ups, crops of each picture to show you how good or bad this lens is. And it's really decent. I mean, for the price, I only paid $35 for it. And it was like new condition except for that one little nick. So I'm good. I'm good. I am so good. You know, it's like, it's a deal. The big red one. Now this is ephemeral because they're going to brick this up, put siding on it, and you won't see this red anymore. Like one building down the street was green, but I never got around there to take pictures. If you look closely, you can see that guy's license plate, but I obscured some of the numbers so we can't identify who he is. This is a building across a little bit down the street, across the street, and I zoomed up in that window because of the reflections. And this is a close-up of the New Jersey Transit sign and some leaves. So it's a pretty decent lens. I like it. I really like it. Without a doubt, it's a nice lens. I noticed that when I try to autocorrect the colors and it's full frame, it does something different than when I crop it and autocorrect. So I'm thinking there's a bug in that program. But it's still within the bounds of acceptability. Here's some cars across the street. I changed the numbers on a license plate so they can't be identified. I mean, look at the sharpness of the sign, the leaves, the reflections off the cars. It's pretty cool. The big red one, you know. And you can see the sun is just starting to hit it. And it's a little bit hazy. And it was just, I'm pleased with this lens. Tokina, 35 to 70, constant aperture, f4.